care lens as we make our way to the very special day, which is all things commemorating rather, palliative care. So yeah, Hanneke, welcome to Radio K Pulpit. How are you this morning?
Good morning, DC. It's nice to join you. I just have to correct you. I'm not the chairperson of the whole of the APCC. I'm just the chairperson of the Free State. So greetings from the Free State.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the
But it's nice
clarity.
to join you.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And, we trust and we know that it's going to be a very fruitful conversation, a conversation that is going to help us to be a little bit more educated when it comes to all things palliative care as the community of South Africa. So what inspired the launch of the Through the Palliative Care Lens campaign? And also, what do you hope to achieve through this campaign?
Yes, and it is our hope to really invite people to have a look at what's happening on this ground level of palliative care and hospice. So people can, through looking at these beautiful and moving photos of what people do in palliative care and in hospices, that they can have a visually impression. And really an understanding of what the work is that hospices and then in particular palliative care does. What is the kind of work? How do we work with both the patient and the loved ones, and how do we support them from the point of diagnosis? So this is really visually a showcase of inviting people to come and have a look and see what we do, so you can have that kind of understanding. It's different to show what we do in pictures than just words. So that is our really hope to see. Come and see on the ground, look at all those on the ground scenarios of what's happening in the world that we are part of.
I love that.
So we've actually, yes, and we've invited, it was beautiful to see, we've got more than 70 members all over South Africa, and we invited them to take part, to send photos, have a story around those photos as well, so people can see and then read more about what is the context of what's happening here. So really to be drawn in through what is visually and what they see is happening, and people can really go and have a look at on our website. There's a dedicated website for this, and it will also be in all the members' social media platforms as well. So people can really have easy access to these beautiful and touching and moving pictures.
Can you, I love that it's making it practical for everyone that will be able to, view the pictures and attend. So can you tell us a little bit about the comprehensive services that palliative care provides and how it differs from common misconceptions that people may have when it comes to palliative care?
And that is one of the focuses, that we really want to educate people, to really tell them this is what we do, because you've mentioned the word misconception. Now, there is really a misconception of the work we do, thinking that it's very simple and basic, just holding hands at the end of life. And it is so much more that, and that is what we wanted to show people, that it's a very comprehensive and a very professional service that integrates clinical expertise, emotional intelligence, and we really need to be cultural sensitive and really consider all the ethical issues around end of life care, which is really also not just the end stages of an illness or of a serious illness. So we work as an IDT or an interdisciplinary team. It's a very holistic way of looking at patients and their loved ones to see what is happening, where do we need to focus on, to really see what do we need to do to alleviate suffering and to really for them to provide and quality of life again, despite of a very difficult diagnosis. So it's really palliative care is the physical, the psychological, social and spiritual care provided by this interdisciplinary team. And that is what we want to make people aware of. it's not a simple, very basic care. It's a very comprehensive care.
Mm.
And hopefully people will get an understanding, because I know there's also a lot of fear around the word hospice.
Yeah. Mm.
And thinking that it's just end of life. That's it now. People think this is it. And they really don't want to. They fear that moment when they are being referred to. And we want to tell them and show them that's much, much, much more than just that end of life care. That we really start to be involved that moment when a difficult diagnosis is being made, to support them, to really start that journey with them and walking with them. And that is what we really want to achieve, is how can we work together with them in a very difficult journey, but to really alleviate, to take away that suffering, wherever that suffering is, to support the patient, but also the family members around them
Mm.
until that point of death, but also going beyond that, really support and help them to find a way back into life again.
Absolutely. Now, the campaign highlights the importance of early intervention as well as support. How can people access palliative care within South Africa?
That's the, and that is a challenge. It's we're really here focusing on having better access for patients that are really in need of palliative care, in need of that support, in need of that whole holistic, very comprehensive care that I've just mentioned. Is how can we really make sure that more people do have access for that? Oh, and that is a huge challenge. There's only a very small percentage of people in need of palliative care in South Africa that actually have access. So we try to, through this awareness and making people aware of what are the things that we do to ensure that more people have access, through education, through training, through campaigns like these, and also making people aware of their rights as patients to ask for, is there a palliative care team? How can I have access to that? Traditionally and often, hospices do provide palliative care, but there's in most of the hospitals, there's also palliative care team, and people can really ask, how can I really benefit? How can I have access to palliative care wherever they are, in hospital, in treatment? And unfortunately, not everybody will have access. So we try to really make it possible for more and more people to have that.
Absolutely, and you are doing a great job at doing that. Now, when it comes to the APCC's member organizations, they provide care for approximately 40,000 people per year. What are some of the biggest challenges that is facing palliative care in South Africa, and how can these challenges be addressed?
Yeah, the number you've mentioned, you can hear that, although it's a big number, but it's by far not enough. Those number of patients that we have access to. And it really goes very hand in hand with those challenges. And financial challenges, unfortunately, are one of the biggest, or is one of the biggest challenges. So while financial support from the National Department of Health varies across provinces, so it really depends on where you are. Many member organizations, a lot of them, really rely on fundraising to sustain their operations and try to continue to deliver that essential palliative care services. So member organizations, often hospices, really need to be very creative to make sure that they can continue to deliver these palliative care services. So it's fundraising campaigns. And we know it's not always easy to do fundraising. Knowing also that the services we provide that service is so essential. But we will continue. We will continue trying to have that access to everyone, or to providing that access to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've done a great job so far at it. And that's a huge number, like you're saying, that you're able to reach. How does palliative care support not just patients, but also the loved ones? And what kind of impact can it have on families?
We know that illness does not happen in isolation, and especially a very serious illness does not only affect the patient, but it really influences that whole group of people, the loved ones that are standing around that patient, that's surrounding that patient. So it affects not just the patient, but the whole family. And we need to be aware of how much it affects that patient, who's the ones that are really struggling and suffering because of this. And especially with a life-threatening illness, there are so many processes that happen during that illness. It's preparing in a way for a final goodbye. And it's not easy to do that. And people try to be kind to the other one. They try to save the other one from this emotional kind of burden of going through these difficult challenges, and how can they accommodate, how can they get used to and prepare for all of that huge things that are happening. So we know that if we want to look at where suffering is happening, we also need to look at not just in the patient, but in the loved ones around them and support them. Because it cannot, we often talk about the concept of total pain. And it's not just the physical pain people are experiencing. For example, if there's a mother with young children with a mother with that illness, and knowing that she's going to leave young children behind, how can we try to take away that suffering, knowing that she worries about those children? So we need to help her to, and all the others that are in similar kind of situations, is how can we look at what's going to happen? How is the family going to adjust to that life without that patient? What kind of support do they need? Because if the family is suffering, the patient is suffering, and the patient is suffering, the family is suffering. So you need to look at the whole picture to see, okay, we need to support everyone here. And who are those that are really in the biggest need of support? How can we help them to prepare? What are the conversations that we need to have? And how can we help them to express all these things in a world that's completely different for them now? And creates a lot of anxiety. So we need to support those ones that are also on that journey with that patient.
Absolutely. So the APCC recently secured international accreditation for its standards for palliative healthcare services. Now, tell us a little bit about this achievement and what it means for palliative care in South Africa.
Yeah, and I know we are very proud of this this what happened is because it's not an easy process. So it was really the standards are developed through a long-standing partnership between the APC and the Council for Health Service Accreditation of South Africa, so or COSASA. And the international endorsement reaffirms the commitment of the APCC really to deliver world-class palliative care services through their members. So we want people to really be sure and to have that confidence in when they are referred to a member hospice of the APCC, that the quality of care is of world-class standard. And that for us is one of the things that we need to provide to say, this is what we do. This is the kind of work, and these are the standards. You can be confident that the care you get is professional and world-class care that we can provide.
Absolutely. It makes a huge difference now. What is the APC's position on medically assisted dying, and how does it relate to palliative care?
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation, and we really acknowledge and recognize the complexity of these end-of-life conversations. So it's although we also recognize the importance of these really ongoing respectful engagement with this topic, We also believe that the need to be a focus, or there really needs to be a focus on the making sure that palliative care is available to everyone and that medically assisted dying is considered outside of the broader framework of palliative care. We really feel that before we can debate how people die, we must ensure they have access to the care that helps them live with dignity. So that is our focus. We will continue really making sure that before anything else, people have families, patients have access to the care that they need and that they deserve before we can have any kind of other or be part of any other decisions. So that's how we feel, but we also know it's a very complex and a highly personal topic. But we will continue to focus on providing that care that can really relieve suffering and to really ensure dignity until the end of life.
Now, as we approach World Hospice Day, which is the 11th of World Hospice and Palliative Care Day on October 11th, what message would you like to share with our listeners about the importance of palliative care as we round off this conversation?
You know, first of all, I really want people to be and to become aware of what palliative care is. That it's, as we said earlier, it's not just a simple kind of service that we provide just at the end of life. Is that we can really, through having access to this team of people working with a patient and a family, we can really look at providing that dignity, support, having conversations, really talking about what is important for me as a patient. How can I make my voice still full of meaning and that people can still hear what are my values, what are my needs until the end of my life. So there's a team of people that can really provide that quality care. I often when we work with patients and when we really take care of patients in a very difficult time, saying goodbye is never easy. And we recognize that. So we don't in any way romanticize death or dying or illness. So we really know it's difficult, but we want to show people there's more happening in that period of illness than just the illness and just the difficulty of saying goodbye. So when they look back at that period of goodbyes, of letting go, that they will become aware of all those other things that happened, that a palliative care team made them aware of all the love and support and care and meaningful conversations that can happen despite illness and despite death and dying. So they will have that message that, yes, revisiting that moment of loss, they will also revisit that moment of love and care and hope in a way. And that can help them find their way back into a life full of loss and finding the way in a world that looks different now after that loss. But we want to give them that message that there is hope, there is support. And that is our hope with palliative care.
Thank you so much, Hanneke, for ensuring that people live with dignity, through the work that you do at Palliative Care Centers of South Africa, APCC. We really, really appreciate this conversation, and we look forward to more and more campaigns such as this, and more awareness for communities about palliative care and the fact that it is there to be used by communities, and it is a dignified way for people to be looked after as they live. So thank you so much, and blessings to you and your team.
Thank you so much, TC. And I invite you again to go and have a look at those photos and to get an idea of what's happening through that. So thank you for inviting me and having me as a guest. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Hanneke. Bye bye. Have yourself a good
All
day.
the